there were 2016 regulations passed by the FDA that allowed broader access to abortion medications, including allowing them to be prescribed up to 10 weeks and also be allowed to be sent in the mail. So the Fifth Circuit's opinion essentially says mifepristone is still available. However, it is not available after 7 weeks, and it is also not available by mail. So those are some significant curbs.
The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals announced its decision overnight, keeping that abortion pill available, but with very strict limitations. Today, the Department of Justice said it will ask the Supreme Court to block that ruling. Meanwhile, down in Florida, lawmakers just passed a 6-week abortion ban, sending the bill to the governor, Ron DeSantis, who said he will sign it. Neil Kate also with us, and Juanita Tolliver joins us. She's an MSNBC political analyst and host of Crooked Media's What a Day podcast. Neil, when will these new restrictions go into effect, and how might this play out at the Supreme Court?
Yeah, they could go into effect as early as, late tomorrow. There are dueling rulings, one from the Fifth Circuit saying the 2016 regulations are struck down. There's a judge in Washington State who's saying, no, the FDA must have those very same regulations. And so the Justice Department is going to the Supreme Court and saying, first of all, tell us which judge to follow. And second, eliminate this lawsuit and these kind of restrictions on the FDA's ability to authorize this drug. And so overnight, Steph, we got this appeals court ruling from what's called the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. It's 40 pages long. It's dressed up with a lot of legalese. But at the end of the day, it's like the legal equivalent of a Steve Bannon podcast. It's ridiculous, it's reckless, and it's just plain wrong. And it's true, the appeals court put an end to the worst case scenario, at least for now, which is a complete ban on the drug, which is something that this trial judge decided. But this isn't, some sort of big win for the government, because these judges are allowing for a very bad scenario. Large numbers of women are going to not be able to get this drug under the Court of Appeals ruling.
It's just plain wrong, and it could be headed down a path to impact half our population. Juanita, you and I have talked a lot on this show about abortion and access to it in this country. What are you thinking about after this ruling?
I think that the Biden administration is right to fight. They're right to fight hard and make sure that fight is public, because let's be real, they have the political high ground here when almost 2/3 of the country still supports access to abortion. When we have wins in states like Wisconsin, that Janet Protasiewicz won by 11 points, which Biden only won by less than 1 point in 2020. And when you have ballot initiatives passing in states like Kansas and Kentucky, where voters are crossing ideological lines, demographic lines of race, gender, and age to support access to abortion. But let's be real, Steph. When I hear that the Biden administration is appealing to the Supreme Court, I got red alarm bells blaring in my head, because this is going to go back before those same conservative justices who struck down Dobbs just last year and are salivating at the opportunity to take away even more of our basic rights. So I'm like, okay, yes, Biden administration, fight and fight hard. But what are the backup plans here? Because women and pregnant people will still need to find some way to access medication abortion.
Neil, when you think about what it is like for a woman when she's in this situation, the pressure, the strain, the confusion, one of the problems is it's only more confusing right now. We got this judge in Washington State, and this judge ruled that the drug must remain available in some states. So how does that ruling fit into all of this?
Yeah, I think Juanita is right. These restrictions are horrible, whether it's the Dobbs restrictions, which said overturned Roe versus Wade, which has been the law for 50 years, or what the Court of Appeals is doing here with this abortion drug. It's totally wrong. And, I'm optimistic that the Supreme Court's going to do the right thing here, because the Court of Appeals decision was just so out there that I think it's going to be very hard for the court to do anything else. Even in Dobbs, when Justice Alito wrote the opinion, he said, okay, we're going to overrule Roe versus Wade, and now this decision should go back to the people. And the people have authorized through the FDA this drug for, decades. And, it can't be that two judges can sit in judgment of that and flip it. And that's particularly true here because there's a legal doctrine called standing, which is the idea of who gets to actually file a lawsuit. And the the theory of standing that these attackers on the drug have used is that, well, a doctor one day might have to treat someone who's taken this abortion drug and has a side effect. That is, to put it mildly, a preposterous theory of standing. It would mean every doctor could challenge every single drug that the FDA had ever approved because it might lead to a side effect. That can't possibly be the law. That's why I think even with a Supreme Court that has been really attacking reproductive rights, this is something that's much broader than just that. It's about FDA and government regulation, which is why hundreds of different pharmaceutical companies have filed briefs and made statements that say this decision's just plainly wrong.
Juanita, we just got an update. This bill in Florida isn't headed to the governor's office. It's already been there. Ron DeSantis has signed it. And here's what I don't understand. Republicans have been fighting for this for years and years. In theory, Ron DeSantis should have a big signing presentation. Every Republican politician should be on all the TV networks celebrating it. But when you actually speak to Republican lawmakers, candidates, many of them don't seem to know how to talk about it or want to. I want to share Tim Scott being asked about it. Watch this.
The fact of the matter is, when you look at the issue of abortion, one of the challenges that we have, we continue to go to the most restrictive conversations without broadening the scope and taking a look at the fact that I'm 100% pro-life. I never walk away from that. But the truth of the matter is that when you look at the issues on abortion, I start with the very important conversation I had in a banking hearing when I was sitting in my office and listening to Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury, talk about increasing the labor force participation rate for African-American women who are in poverty by having abortions.
You'll have to help me. That was a word salad that I couldn't swallow. At the same time, Nikki Haley, she's making it clear. She said, I do not want unelected judges deciding something this personal. Explain to us the Republican play here.
Stephanie, you know better than to ask me to explain anything that these Republicans are saying. Like, what in the world was that from Tim Scott? That's ridiculous, but it shows one thing. Republicans are trying to backtrack from something they've dedicated decades to when in regards to overturning access to abortion by stacking the Supreme Court and now pushing for complete and total bans. But there's no way they can backtrack from the cruelty, the inhumane behavior, and the extremist policies that they've put forward. And the fact that DeSantis is signing this bill into law at, 11 o'clock at night and trying to pretend like no one's going to see it, that just shows that, okay, you stepped in it because nearly 2/3 of the country still supports access to abortion, but you're going to do it anyway because you're trying to survive a GOP primary. That's what this is about. But here's the thing. Even if DeSantis does survive a primary, going into a general election where elections are won with a general electorate that supports access to abortion, this is going to bite him in the butt, right? People are going to reject him because of that. And you better believe Democrats are going to run any bit of footage they have of him talking about this and signing that bill, even though he posted it again at 11 o'clock at night on a Thursday. This will be front and center for voters if he survives a Republican primary.
Now, to be clear, he may have signed it earlier today. We just got word now that he signed it. It's extraordinary to play politics with something this serious when it comes to our health.